couldn't get away from the kid. And when we ended up becoming really good friends, like a big brother, younger brother kind of scenario. And over the years, Rob, we talked about everything you can imagine, from getting your first girlfriend. He's still with her today. I helped him get that first girlfriend that he's still with, his high school girlfriend. Yeah. Or the time the FBI raided his house, for example. Who did he call? He called me. He called me in every situation, and here I was. I'm not some perfect human being who has all the answers, right? But I was an older guy who generally cared about him. And so I did everything I could to steer him in the best direction, while just being friends, And so we had several years where we didn't talk as much as we normally did. We would still talk outside of the game here and there, but it wasn't quite as active. Now, I mentioned how we talked about everything, Rob, right? During our time growing up. There was one subject that we never talked about, and that was all right, everyone. Welcome back to Love People Enough. I'm Micah.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for joining us.
All right. So today, we're going to talk about having difficult conversations while you have the chance, especially with your kids and other people that are close to you in life. So those of you who know me know of the name Zach. Zach was instrumental in the creation of this show. I started this show almost 2 years ago, when I was watching friends and family become radicalized one after another on the Democrat radical side. Trust me, we got a lot of time for the red radicals. They'll be coming. We got some big problems going on there as well. But I met Zach when he was 13 years old. I was playing a little game called World of Warcraft. Now, growing up, just the way that I grew up, I mostly play games solo. Various reasons, doesn't really matter why. So here I was playing World of Warcraft, and this young kid was in a group with me doing something. It was like some activity you had to, do it with other people, force you to, not
community event or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't think anything of it. And the next time I was on, he found me somehow in the game. And then for the next couple of weeks, he always found a way to find me in the game. And it was very uncomfortable for me at first, because here I am. I'm what am I, 47 now? I've known the kid for, 17-ish years or something like that. So I'll say I was around 30-ish. Okay. So here's a 13-year-old child messaging me online. Okay. Not the other way around, to be crystal clear. And I couldn't get away from the kid. And when we ended up becoming really good friends, like a big brother, younger brother kind of scenario. And over the years, Rob, we talked about everything you can imagine, from getting your first girlfriend. He's still with her today. I helped him get that first girlfriend that he's still with, his high school girlfriend. Yeah, exactly. Amazing. So over time, we talked about everything you can imagine, from relationships to, the law, doing the right thing. We did a fair amount of conversations on doing the right thing. But besides that all, we just played games together and had a great relationship. And we talked in the game and outside of the game, right? If he was struggling with something in his life, it was something personal, it was something at work. Or the time the FBI raided his house, for example, who did he call? He called me. He called me in every situation, and here I was. I'm not some perfect human being who has all the answers, right? But I was an older guy who generally cared about him. And so I did everything I could to steer him in the best direction, while just being friends, over the years, I ended up starting to fall off from World of Warcraft. While it was a great game at the time, it can really steal your life away if you're not careful, as can, any games or anything you do too much of, maybe.
Let me tell you, that's the reason why I never got into it, because I know
I'd
be lost for a long time It's just there's too much to do.
Yeah, you can be. Oh yeah. And if you're single, you want to talk about the single greatest reason to, the obstacle to not being single, is withdrawing from the world and spending all your time playing video games, right? And we don't need to go into the reasons why, but I started to pull away a little bit over time. And so we had several years where we didn't talk as much as we normally did. We would still talk outside of the game here and there, but it wasn't quite as active. Now, I mentioned how we talked about like everything, Rob, right? During our time growing up. There was one subject that we never talked about, and that was gender ideology. So for me, right, I didn't grow up with gendered ideology. I grew up without ever having a conversation that boys are boys and girls are girls.
Yeah.
It was just standard. And from my point of view, I have seen such an insane push from the Democrat side that it's not a scenario of looking out for a few select individuals who may or may not need some psychological help or may actually be who they actually are supposed to be. It ended up becoming, in my opinion, something that was pushed on children everywhere, every grade, every age. I remember reading articles. I remember reading like one article about an entire, what was it, kindergarten class that identified as trans. It was something like that. It was insane.
That is alarming.
Every time I would start to bring it up, he would always say the same thing. You don't have to worry about me, Micah. Don't worry about that. That's crazy stuff. He used to say the same phrase. That's crazy, insane stuff. We don't even need to talk about that stuff. You don't have to worry about me. Okay. And it was a couple of years back. I want to say about 3 years ago or so now. Him and I were talking on a call, and we started talking gender ideology, something, again, that we haven't talked about through his entire teenage years. And again, the reminder that him and I had built up friendship and trust over all these years, talking about everything from gaming to the president, right, to Israel, to the FBI, and right, and life and love and everything in between. We had built up a lot of trust, Rob, a lot of trust.
I imagine so. I mean, I've got friends like that I met gaming, and I still talk to this day, 20 years later.
Right?
Yeah.
So we were talking gender ideology, and we were just talking on the phone, and it got really quiet. It got really quiet and uncomfortable. I just felt it, man. Like I felt something went wrong, and and within a matter of minutes, I think he called me a Nazi, and I think he mentioned Hitler. It was heartbreaking. It was shocking to me. He made it clear, one thing I had talked about, and I do talk about this, and I know him and I had conversations about this back in the day. It was look out for people that you love and care about. Look out for people in your friends group, right, in your family group, those who you say you love, right? Look out for them, care for them, stand up for them when they cannot stand up for themselves, stand up for them when they're not around. Look out for them, right? Be the person that you want.
Conversations. Yeah.
Have the difficult conversations. Be the person that you want, them to be when you're not around. So he told me that I don't remember if it was 2 or 3. He said he had 2 or 3 cross-dressing male friends already at that age. So he had, well, geez, I don't know. I'm not really sure, age right now. Yeah, please forgive me. But yeah, he told me that he had multiple male friends who cross-dressed. They wore women's clothes when they were home. And as far as he's concerned, those are his friends. Those are his family. Those are people he loves and cares about. And so he's going to defend them. And so he did. And he basically removed me from his life completely. This one subject. And I know you and I are just getting to know each other still, Rob. We have so many phenomenal conversations ahead of us. And we've had a couple already, I think.
Yeah.
I am flawed. I am not a perfect person. As I may say, I'm highly flawed.
As we all
but I'm a
are,
good
right?
man with a good heart. Yeah, like I'm a good man with a good heart. We can talk through any difficult situation and find a healthy place to end it. I know that about me. I don't say trans people are evil and should be erased from the earth. I don't say people who are confused should be eliminated. I don't think things like that at all. What I think is that there is a very small select group of people who have this condition, we'll just call it, I guess. Some of them will get therapy. They will get support and love and care for the people around them, and they will get back on the track they were always meant to be. Some of them will not. Some of them, that's who these people are meant to be forever. But the reality is there's a difference between those people. And I, again, love people enough. I refuse to lie to myself and the world to say there's no difference between those people. Or to say one of them exists and the other one does not. But anyway, so here it is. It's been about 3 years or so, for the most part, since we've really spoken. I pulled up battle.net from World of Warcraft. It was like one of the places we communicate all the time on just yesterday. I just like, I don't know. I just want to see how he's doing,
You still care about him, regardless
through
of
our past.
your last conversation. I get that.
Of course I care about him. He's gone, man. I couldn't even look up our own stuff because he removed my friend request, apparently. It's funny how something that small can hurt you. Yeah, and I say the point of this isn't trans. The point of this episode isn't trans. The point of this episode is have the difficult conversations, all of them, because you never know with the people that you love and care about, because you never know when they're going to be gone from your life. And they have decided you're someone completely different before you ever get to have that conversation. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if you have some thoughts in general. I know I've been speaking for a long time in this one.
No, it's okay. I don't necessarily have thoughts. I think you're right. Regardless of people's past or what they plan for their future, if you plan to maintain any meaningful relationship with somebody, you have to be willing to talk about these things and work through the differences in thought processing or opinions, because a lot of that I agree with you in the sense that regardless of the disagreement, if you care about somebody, you work through that difficult conversation, opposing side or not. And I feel like when you know somebody actually, you don't even have to know somebody for so long, right? Love people enough. You could love a stranger enough to have a difficult conversation with them, provided you know the information behind it. And you should both be able to walk away feeling like you did what you felt was right, and not be able
Which
to just
he probably
sever.
did feel what he did was right
Well,
by severing the relationship with the Nazi known as Micah. Holy Jesus!
I don't feel as if he gave the relationship a chance. In it, what sounds like it was probably adulthood, and that's got to be really difficult for you. I mean, I've had friends that longtime friends, like best friends, that maybe not severed the relationship, but no word, no effort, no nothing from them, regardless of the amount of times I've shown interest in maintaining a relationship. I can't have a meaningful, deep, difficult conversation with these people because they've shown no interest in having even just hi, how are you, or how's the weather, you know. But I'd still be willing to if they gave the effort. Some people
I get it.
probably just don't have the bandwidth, maybe. But I do think that it's okay to hold in there and not truly believe it's gone. Sometimes people have to get through whatever they're going through to make it to that conversation, you know.
Which is tough because, you know, I think about that, right? We're in the age of Trump. We're in the age of the worst version of the Republicans that's ever existed in my entire lifetime. And so from his point of view, he's probably thinking that I'm a radical Republican because I'm, because I say the trans issue is a very tricky one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And
I
I can
don't
tell
see
you
that
back,
in
I'm
you.
sorry, I can tell you back then, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I was a lot less understanding. I will tell you that. As far as I'm concerned, back in the day, boys are boys and girls are girls. There was no exception. This was madness. This was the cruelest thing that we have ever done to children in my entire lifetimes, and the effect that it'll have as time goes on, it'll be shocking on actual history. I still believe that to a certain extent. The Cass report, for example, massive report that came out from after reviewing Tavistock and other large clinics in Europe. This was the largest report that came out ever, and it was specifically on thousands of young children. And what they found that there were no benefits whatsoever to having kids go down the trans ideology pathway from puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones. There were zero benefits. This report was so damning, it caused the majority of European countries to stop all surgeries and all, the hormones, all that stuff banned for children. You know what America did? America did nothing. America continued to do what it's done. The only reason it's even slowed down is because the extremely broken Republicans right now are in charge. But if they come back in 2028 with the blues, they're going to push this stuff even more. And there's such a, when I say push, right? Let's talk about, where this even came up from the other day, right? This came up because I had a YouTube short come to me, Rob, and it was just a reminder of this. And it said something like, in Fairfax County, which is right down the road from us, it's not that very far from us.
Yeah, very close. Yeah.
Gender studies has been approved for elementary school. Elementary school children.
Now, what defines gender studies?
Well, gender studies, in my opinion, right? I'll argue this to the day I die. What it really means is that you're ensuring children have a very specific ideology as they grow. When I think about whatever happened to Zach, that's what I think about what we're about to do to all these young children. We're going to take people like me and we're going to turn them into Nazis.
Because they understand gender? Is this learning what gender is?
Gender
studies.
The first thing
versus,
would be like, gender is different than sex. And then everywhere that spirals into a lot of places that are just not real. Things like having fake pronouns, that's not real. That's not reality. It's not sustainable in any way. You ever watched a video of people actually try to talk to each other in pronouns? It's the most embarrassing, humiliating, and ridiculous thing. It shows the insanity of such a thing that we have allowed to continue in our schools. So in late 2024, the FLEC, the Family Life Education Curriculum Advisory Committee, in conjunction with Fairfax County Public Schools, was asked to explore teaching gender ideology in elementary grades. The committee unanimously supported introducing these topics, arguing that excluding them would not create an open, accepting environment. And so look at that. We've got so we just kind of look at it a little bit, right? In grade 1, they're going to talk about things like race. Do we need kids in first grade talking about race? Probably not. Race, culture, religion, disabilities, intersex, non-binary.
So it was just last night. I was carrying my daughter to bed. she asked me to pick her up, which I will do every single time while I still can, right? And while she still asks. And on the way into her room, she looked at me and said, "Daddy, are you white?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm white. Yes, I am." And
Jesus.
I don't know where she got that from. And it's irrelevant because she's going to hear things in the world and she's going to need to know what it means and how to understand it, and where to go from what she hears, right?
Problem
It's
is,
what
we don't often have healthy conversations around things like race. If race is
who's we?
introduced,
Who's we?
we all the people in charge of
As a
schooling.
society?
Yes. So
Perhaps.
Democrats almost exclusively run the school societies in general. They are on the top of the school boards. They are in high positions of authority in schools across America. When something like race gets introduced, race doesn't get introduced in a good, healthy way. Race gets introduced in a way that says things like white people are evil, white people harm you, black people, every bad thing that's happened to them is because of the color of their skin. In my opinion, if your child asks that, that's a warning bell for me, because that says someone's probably teaching them about race, and I don't know of any version of that comes out healthy when it comes from schooling, I guess.
Did have that thought, but the reality is she goes to school with white kids, black kids, Asian kids, you name it. And those kids also have mouths and hear things from other people. We can't control what our kids' friends hear, but we can control what they understand. Regardless of if they hear it from a teacher or their friends, TV, you're their teacher first. This still goes back to me saying it starts at home. She hears something, she asks me about it. I'm going to let her know my ideologies, which I hold to high standard. Okay. And we go from there. Not, let's avoid this until she's 17 and still wonders if I'm black or white or Asian or whatever. So I understand what you're saying, but parents still need to also get involved in schools as well. Like, that's another big problem with parents. Sorry, don't mean to derail this conversation and turn it into family issues, but it's the issues in schools start with the families. That's it, So
sometimes, I don't know. I think I got push back on that one immediately. I feel like some of the issues in schools start with school. They start in school, right? Yeah. I think I get very worried. I get so worried about Democrats in charge of school systems. I feel like they push these very anti-American values in general. And then you got the Reds in charge, and they just disband the whole Department of Education completely. Dude, how do we not have a middle ground for those two things? So bad.
And it's unfortunate because it's like, are you going to move from your school system? Are you going to pull your kid from school and then, quit your job and have to move out of Fairfax because it's expensive to live there without a job? You can't live there without a job.
But and if you're protecting your child now, but you're probably not educating them the way that you need to because you don't really have that skill set. It's a huge lose-lose when we put parents in positions to need to take their children out in order to protect them so that they don't grow up to hate their own guts, to hate their own parents, right? To hate their own people who've loved and cared for them for so long. Yeah. So anyway, though, just getting back on track real quick is I just want to say in general, Zach, if you're out there, man, I still love you. I still care for you. I'm never going to change those things. I hope that you and I find our way back together someday to having that friendship again. And I do hope if we ever get back to having difficult conversations that you understand who I am and remember you and I have had a lot of conversations. I hope you give me a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I hope you're doing great. I hope everything is going well for you in life. And I hope it's someday that you and I find our way back to good, healthy place. And that's it for today. So thank you again for all your time. I'm Micah from Love People Enough.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, if you liked our episode, please consider subscribing to our Patreon. We now have an after show episode for every single episode that we do. So a lot of really good, hard-hitting stuff. If you thought this stuff was good, wait till you see the after shows. Wow, do we get into the stuff. And thank you all. We are so blessed to have such a wonderful community. Thank you for your time. Hey everyone, this is Micah.
And I'm Rob.
From Love People Enough. Please consider signing up for our Patreon so we can continue to bring you hard-hitting episodes and grow our channel to reach the widest audience possible. Link below in the description.